Hey everyone, it's Jason back here at the Laneway project in Metro Vancouver. As you can see, we're well underway with our cladding installation. I can walk through where we're at. All right, so we'll start off on this corner here. I've got a few different things going on. Let's start with, we've got horizontal plank installation. So at the bottom of the wall, what you don't see there is our starter strip. That provides a nice clean edge for any moisture to just drip right off. We'll have seen in the previous videos with our hitch system, we've got the hitch clip and girt system behind this with the rock wool insulation, bug screen underneath. So that's kind of what's happening all underneath there, but again, a nice clean start to our horizontal cladding installation with that starter strip alone. If we happen to have a step foundation, that's where you'd start seeing maybe a horizontal J-track with a ripped first plank. That's certainly doable, but this is a great first step. From there, then we've got our outside corner. In this case, we've got our 2-inch corner set, which gives a nice 2-inch coverage each side of that corner. That would have been a base piece, which I'll show you here in a second on another part of the install. Base piece goes on first, and then the cap after your cladding has been installed. That corner, actually one of the unique attributes of it, it's reversible. So this, in this case, outside corner, but would also be used as the inside corner. I'll show you that somewhere else as well. Moving up the wall, we've got a couple penetrations, which I think represent kind of your average or typical penetrations. We've got an electrical box. In this case, it's an exterior graded or rated box. So we've got our gasket with the electrical box itself here, and then the encasement to protect it from weather. Pretty common, even if it wasn't for this encasement shroud on the outside. If you just had a typical door flap, if you want to call it that, would have looked the same there. Cutting around the planks, I won't go through that too closely, but it's just simply cut, notched around that electrical box, and then the plate mounted on top of that. Hose bibs, that's another common penetration. Here we ended up just at the bottom edge of the plank. So our installer would have drilled a hole in that plank and then just simply cut it on the saw to split that so he can go around that. Butt joint kit would be behind there so that we can bind that tight. We're on a bit of a colder day today where that plank is still maintaining its tight butt joint with that butt joint kit. So that provides a nice clean installation there around those types of penetrations. Move out the wall the rest of the way there. Again, just horizontal planks, top of the wall. We've got a nice termination set, 7/8 trim there at the top of the wall where it meets the soffit. And then that's a good little glimpse at that castellation soffit. I'll show you more of that with the different textures that we get with that around the house here. This door, we've just simply J'd it out with a 7/8 J-track. So there we're matching the 7/8 J at the top of the wall. In that case, top of the wall, it's matching finish to the wall, gray Douglas fir in this case. And then we've opted to go with a contrasting black J around our windows. I believe all the windows on this project are all white. So we've gone with that white look on the doors and windows with that nice contrast with that J-track. So that's sort of a typical penetration section detail, if you will, there of hose bib, electrical fixture, and doors. Last bit I'll show you is a window, very similar to the door. Window detailing, only difference from a door, let's say, is we'll have an underside of window detail in some form. In this case, with this project, we've used a drip flashing. We have fitted J-track on the underside there. A little bit of redundancy with that. You don't really need the J on our cladding because we've got that windowsill. But as you can see, the sill kind of steps out a hair there, so you could potentially see underside. So it ends up nice, clean finish by putting that J in. Nevertheless, whatever you've done on the bottom, then we just chase that around. So we've got our J-track running up the side of the window, and we've opted on this project to just go with what I call as like a header J and then 2 side jams. Opted to not miter the J's. Elsewhere on the project, we did start with some mitering, but kind of caught that early. I think that this is a nice clean look. It's a little bit more simplified for install. Certainly you could miter, but in my experience, mitering, it's pretty difficult that if it isn't sitting nice and flat, it's gonna stand out a little bit more than if you've just done this kind of lap technique. So that's how we've detailed the window, similar to the door. Last door I'll call out here, I'll draw attention to, is our front entry door. The door itself here is just temporary door, so that's not going to be the final look. But the way that we've detailed our returns, and this to me is a common condition that comes up with any kind of continuous insulated assembly like what we've used here with the hitch system and the rock wool insulation. We've created a scenario where we've got to return back to that door jamb. Lots of different ways that we could have dealt with that. We could have either done some kind of a flashing return in a matching color to the door, or contrast or matching to the cladding, whichever one we wanted to go with. In this case, the dimensioning worked out really well, that I could use my 2-inch corner set in a black, just like that other door with the black J. And then I married that together with a 7/8 J-track. So I've actually fastened a J-track to that door jamb. That's 7/8, and then I've got my 2-inch corner, and that was my final dimension from finished cladding surface back to jamb was 2 7/8. So I happened to get a bit lucky on that one. If it wasn't for that luck, if it was less than that, then I could start ripping this corner. If it was greater than that 2 7/8, I've got a few different options. I could have either put in some cladding in there or a black flashing. Lots of different ways to do it. So that's how we did that. And then here I've got my inside corner. So I mentioned on that outside corner, our 2-inch corner set is reversible. This is that same corner set. That's just the inside condition of it. So that to me, I find that eases some of the concerns on site of doing your takeoff. Let's say when the contractor or us at Longboard with our CAD team, we've done the takeoff, you're just simply counting corners, gives the people on site to manage just that one trim. So you've got inside corner and outside corners to manage on site. That's going to be the same trim with that particular component. Last comment I'll make here is that corner. So here I am with my base on for an outside corner condition, which actually is the same as that inside corner cap. That's my base. Then we've installed the cladding. You always want to make sure that you keep that cladding back a little ways from this surface, as the cap, once we snap that on, if we could just pan up to the top of this corner, I've got a small piece of the corner, the outside corner cap in place there, and that cap snaps outside of that. So we want to make sure that those cladding planks are far enough back that they're not going to interfere with that cap. Cap goes on, and then that's your final look. So I think that kind of describes a good cross section of door window penetrations, electrical outlets, plumbing hose bibs. So I'll leave it there for the cladding. We'll show you some pictures of the white oak that goes on the second story. We've opted for that wood grain kind of look on the outside wall cladding. And then on the soffit, which I'll jump to next, is our solid color castellation planks. So I mentioned there earlier, a bit of a unique use of it here, but I like it because it gives that texture. So we'll have a look at that next. So now looking at our soffit, we've used our castellation soffit, which I've touched on. It's a bit of a unique option to use for soffitting. Castellation provides a lot more of a textured plank. We've used both our 4-inch and 8-inch castellation plank in a solid color, bone white in this case. So it gives a really nice clean look, yet an interest with that depth, right? And playing around with shadows. So you can see that there. If we look on the outside of our beam here, for soffit venting, we've just introduced our 2.5-inch V-groove vent. So a bit of a different profile than the castellation, but it nests in there tongue and groove just like anything else. So it fits well there. So that's what we've done for the soffit. Now, when I look at our columns, the way that we're going to be treating our columns here, we're going to be wrapping those in what we call our post wrap. And this is where we've introduced now another wood grain finish called our light cherry. So we're using light cherry on the post wraps here. If I go back to our castellation soffit, castellation, we can then take our Lincoln Lock family and we can nest that in to the castellation plank. So those reveal lines on the castellation planks, they can actually take on a nested 1 3/8 Lincoln Lock in there. So I'm going to be considering, we haven't decided yet, we're going to do a bit of a mock-up on the project here and make a decision, but I can then pull my light cherry that we'll use on the post wraps here and introduce that to our bone white castellation. I certainly won't be doing that every castellation reveal, but I'll look at that and kind of come up with a percentage or wherever I want strategically to locate that. So that then gives me an option to then pull in nice, clean, solid color bone white on the soffit. with that light cherry Lincoln lock nested in there. In this case, I've just gone with a 2-inch Lincoln lock. Lincoln lock comes in 2, 4, 6, or 8-inch dimensions. I certainly don't want to go that large here. So I'm considering 2-inch there, and just look at that, see where it kind of best suits. Nesting that in. That would just get mechanically fastened in there. I would drill an oversized hole every anchoring location through my castellation plank, and then Lincoln lock, just follow the install instructions there for that with mounting clips and whatnot, so that I can nest that in. So that's something we're looking at. So we'll look at that at a later date. Certainly by the time we reach completion here on the project, you'll see which way we've gone there, whether we've decided to use it or not, and then we'll definitely recap the entire project from there. So I'll leave it there, and we'll catch you on the next one.